Welcome back to another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Today, I'm joined by a buddy named Steven Storey. He's a Twitter personality. He's got a YouTube channel, digital nomad, does a lot of internet stuff, and he's a big Brazil guy. So any Brazil fans out there I think are going to get a lot of value and enjoyment out of this episode. Steven, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. I'm glad to be here, bro.
Absolutely. I think we should just quickly apologize if the audio is not perfect on your end. You're making do in in the car, but uh, but I think we'll make up for it because I think this is gonna be a sick podcast, and I think you're gonna have some cool experiences to share with us.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm gonna stop my car here in like 2 minutes, so the audio should get better anyway.
No worries, man. No worries. When I first started going hard on Twitter about 6 months ago, you're one of the first names that came up. You were really well connected with everyone. It seemed like everyone was following you. You have like almost 50,000 followers on Twitter. You've been doing the internet business thing for a while, living in Latin America. How long you been doing the digital nomad thing?
Bro, so I've been moving around all around the United States for work since 2016, 2017. So it's been what, 5 years now, almost 6 years of
Hmm.
just being a nomad proper, and then switching to just straight up internet stuff has been since I would say when I started moving out of the country for work was in 2018. So I moved to Canada, and then after that, I figured out how to. You got to figure out how to live out of the United States, or live
Hmm.
out of your home country. I think that's the first trick to this whole thing. But in 2019 is when I figured it all out. That's when I came to Brazil. I started truly making money online while living in Brazil, and the rest was history, bro.
That's awesome. Are you Canadian?
I am American, but I was living in Canada.
Okay. Yeah, I know you got the like southern accent. Do you tell people what state you're from?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm from Alabama. I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm from the deep south.
Shit, made it out.
Yeah, man, I made it out. Thank God.
And it's kind of funny that you're back in Alabama right now. You told me you're going to Brazil in a couple days.
Yeah.
What's it like to be back in Alabama? Must be kind of a lot of mixed emotions.
Yeah, man, it's surreal. Alabama is the first place I had to make it out of. So I taught myself because I actually like Alabama. I enjoyed being from here, and I lived here until I was 26. So, um, I had to teach myself to hate this place so it would make me faster.
But
You
deep
know,
down, you love it.
oh hell yeah, I love Alabama. So to be back, and it's like after years of being like, all right, I don't want to be here anymore. I gotta leave. I gotta leave. I gotta move to come back here, and then I was helping my family with some things for a couple months, but yeah, man, it was mixed emotions for sure, bro. Just like, and then like you get accustomed to a different lifestyle in South America, and you don't have that lifestyle, so it's like you gotta kind of manage your emotions for a bit.
When you come back, you mean?
Yeah, when I come back, yeah, yeah.
Right. Probably there's no beach, less partying, maybe
Mhm.
uh don't want to give away too much too early, but yeah, definitely kind of
Yeah,
a lifestyle downgrade, and you're just kind of helping the fam and
yeah,
maybe focusing less on yourself and more just on
yes,
keep
yes, man.
keeping things afloat for everyone.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Because I mean, obviously, guys, everybody has responsibilities. Some of those responsibilities will happen to you in South America. By the way, if any of y'all decide to live in South America, life doesn't stop because we go to another place, right? Um, and so I found that you just gotta make those sacrifices and be a little uncomfortable for a little bit, but that part is over for now for me. So we'll get into that as the call progresses. It's much different, man. Like I find that I find for me the quality of life downgrade, man, is like almost frustrating. Like I'm like, yo, some gotta change, man. Like, why we ain't got no beaches over here? Like, why don't we have coconut water? Like, where's the fish at? You know what I'm saying? Like, but You deal with it.
And the thing, I mean, there's so many topics to that, like a digital nomad that goes home. There's actually so much around that. It might not be relatable for some people that haven't got their journey started, but for me, it's like we know we've leveled up. We've like learned new skills, we've learned languages, we've got our
Yeah.
money up, we've had all these cool experiences. But when you go home, people don't really know that except for what you put out there. And so you're just kind of walking around, or you're seeing the old people, and you're like, yo, I'm in your head, you're like, yo, I'm super leveled up. But they just kind of see you as like the same kid from the neighborhood.
Yeah, man. And then like they'll ask you something like, "So where you been at lately?" Or like, "So where do you live at now?" And I'm like, "Well, I live in Brazil." What? You live where? And it's like this whole like because you'll find yourself telling people you live somewhere else because I'm like, well, you asked the question, I'm about to tell you now.
Right. They think you're about to say Atlanta or something.
Yeah, yeah, like I live down the street or something. Like, no, I don't. Like I live far away. So it's and then like let's talk about this real quick. So like I think one of the advantages when you come home is getting certain documents taken care of and certain paperwork taken
Mm-hmm.
care of.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, I renewed a visa. I got a new visa while I was here in the States. I was able to get my birth certificate and some other things taken care of that I needed for Brazil. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's like sometimes we're on the journey of like fully getting out of your home country. You do need to come home to handle documents, to do taxes, handle certain business meetings, certain things you just cannot do in South America.
Yep. Open some bank accounts.
Yeah, yeah, I do all that, and it's like it's like a little list of things that pile up, you know.
I know what you mean. I feel like the past couple years I've spent more time just logistically going around collecting documents.
To your point, also, man, you got to be so much more responsible for yourself as a nomad than you would as just a person just living outside, just living in your own country, you know.
Yeah. In what way? In what ways did you have to become more responsible?
Well, let's talk about language, right? So, whenever in your home country, right, for those of you all who are listening, you are a person who is, 18, 19, 20, 30, 40, whatever age you are, level English speaker, French speaker, whatever language you speak is your first language.
Hmm.
When you go to your second country, your third country, and you're picking up a second language, you now speak at like a 2 year old level, a 3 year old level. You don't speak as a college educated person anymore. You don't speak as a person who has like our pedigree is in our accent. It's in our speech and our words. You lose all of your pedigree when you are learning a new language. And
Hmm.
so these are all crutches that we use in society that show other people where we're from, who we are, what we know. All right. And so it kind of like it takes like it makes making connections much harder. I think. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a blank slate. I think, especially in Brazil, they're super welcoming, especially to a gringo,
Yeah.
um, especially to one that kind of looks like them. You're like a black guy, I guess, so
Yeah.
you kind of blend in and stuff. And
Yeah.
they obviously probably like find that really cool. Um, but yeah, you do kind of get the chance to reinvent yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's fun, right? Like it's fun to reinvent yourself, man. Like for example, in English, I can be quite opinionated. In Portuguese, because I don't have the language around arguments and opinions. I just agree with I agree with everybody. You know,
That's funny.
I agree with all their political stances, everything. I don't care. I'm just like, well, shit, I can't disagree with you, and I don't feel like trying to find a way to disagree with you in this conversation. So I become a lot more amicable.
I think that's part of it, and I think also just people down there are so much more amicable that it kind of rubs off, and they're just so like anti-confrontation relative
Yeah,
to the U.S.
yeah, I agree. I think
Um,
we
yeah,
about to say,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. It's like, well, I think also like North Americans and Europeans, we can be quite confrontational, politically speaking, and about our opinions. We can be quite confrontational.
Yeah,
I,
I just know like every like girl I've met in Latin America is just so friggin' agreeable and so easy to be around.
Man, yes, we can talk about that. We can talk about that if you want to talk about that. Because
Let's come back to it. Let's come
yeah,
back to it. Because what I want to do real quick is just dedicate like 5 minutes to talk about how you make money online, just to
okay,
give people like a little bit more context to what you do. Because you do actually have like a public persona. I mean, you have
yeah,
like 50,000
mhm,
Twitter followers. You have 1,000 plus on YouTube, a couple different platforms. You got a bunch on Instagram, like
yeah,
15,000 or something on Instagram.
yeah.
I noticed Cobra Tate, Andrew Tate follows you on Instagram. How'd that happen?
Yes, he does. He follows me on all my social media.
Have you guys met up?
Nah, man, I'll tell you that story, man. So like, the Tate brothers, when they were first coming out years ago, I was following them and interacting with them and doing what they were saying to do back then about international travel, right?
Mm,
So like, when I moved to Canada, Tate was like, get a Canadian bank account, get a Canadian credit card. Okay, I got it. And then I knew I was going to Brazil right after that. And so like, his whole thought process was get on as many grids as possible.
yeah,
Instead of getting off the grid, just get on as many grids as possible. And so, I was like, I guess you would say I was an early supporter. And then like I was just doing cool shit too. So like I wasn't doing like they were doing it, but I always interacted with them. And they would, give me advice in the DMs, all that stuff, bro. So like, you know, it
that's
just
pretty cool.
it went like that, man.
Did you join the war?
I did not. I actually should. Somebody pulled me to the side and was like, Steve, you should join the war room. I was like, all right, I'll think about it. Cause I've been building out my own product. So I was like, let me just focus on building this out. And before I start getting in other groups, you know, but,
So it sounds like you're a pretty good online networker, and you've done a good job of just kind of like keeping tabs with people, I guess, kind of exchanging DMs, like you said. Has that been a priority for you?
yeah, I mean, like, like, bro, you get what you give, you get what you put out, right? I always try to support people that's doing something I think is positive or is going to help other people before everybody else does it. And I make sure to keep the lines open. I check on people. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Hey, I see you doing this now. Hey, just literally being like a good person on the internet. And so instead of consuming what everybody's putting out, I also want to interact with them. And I find that by doing that, is by being a genuine person online, I can develop friendships the same way I would if I was in real life.
Yeah.
You know?
And so, do you think that like Andrew Tate gets value at all from what you do, and people that aren't, and I guess more broadly, people that aren't maybe interested in the insurance adjusting industry? We'll touch
Yeah,
on that,
because
but
like,
do people get value from what you do, even if they're not interested in your niche, but just maybe the way you present yourself, things like that?
yeah, man. So like, insurance adjusting is what I do for a living. That's what I teach other people so they can find freedom, right? Whether that's in the United States or wherever they are. But that's just my way out, right? That's my way out of struggle. Okay. Other than that, that's just a small portion. Everything else is like my philosophy about life and like what I think about the day to day things. So because I've had a Twitter account since 2009, and I've been like talking on it since 2009. It hadn't been like a account to screw around on. Like I've been actively cultivating that following for a long time.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And then, so when did you? We'll come back to that. I kind of want to know a little bit more of the story, but and then so if you don't mind, just talking a little bit about insurance adjusting, just for a second, just so we can kind of
Yeah.
get it out of the way. Um, so is it? Because it's funny. I've been exposed to remote work and digital nomads for a long time, like years and years and years, and I had never really heard of this independent adjuster thing, insurance adjuster, on basically until I joined Twitter and I saw that there was you and there was a couple other guys,
Right.
and I was like, huh, like there's a million ways to make money online.
Yeah.
So is that, I know there are people, some people do it in person and they
Mhm.
visit, the houses and the cars or whatever, and some
Right.
people do it like fully online. How does that work fully remote?
I'm gonna do a brief overview. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is independent adjusting? Independent adjusting is an industry that's been around for it's been over 90 years now, closer to 100 years. And basically, in the United States and Canada, when insurance carriers like Allstate or State Farm or Progressive or whatever, whenever they get overwhelmed with insurance claims, they have a certain amount of time they have to handle those claims before they get fined by the Department of Insurance, right? And
Makes
so what
sense.
they'll do is when they get these time crunches, they'll hire people who are also licensed as adjusters, which are
Hmm.
called independent adjusters. When those staff adjusters are overwhelmed, they come in and say, "Hey, we need 40 people to handle these extra 2,000 claims." And so those 40 people will work those 2,000 claims down to a manageable level until the staff adjusters can begin working on those claims by themselves. And from there, they'll send the independent adjusters home, right? Or they'll end their what we call a deployment. Deployment is essentially just a work contract,
Hmm.
but it's industry speak for a job. So we say deployment. So, so those deployments, they can last anywhere from a few weeks, a few months, sometimes a few years, just depending on the workload that's available to them.
Makes sense. So you take on the excess capacity in
Correct.
terms of basically filling out the paperwork
Right.
and uh, managing the claim.
Exactly.
Um, I would imagine that like in a normal time where things stay constant, the insurance companies can more or less predict, their supply and demand dynamics. But I think it's when there's kind of like large scale material adverse events that they
Mm-hmm.
probably need to bring people on, whether that be a flood in New Orleans or a hurricane or
Or a flood in New
things like
Brunswick.
that, right?
Yeah, like wildfires, floods, hurricanes, hailstorms. These things cause wide scale damage where they need thousands of people at one time. And so, what I've taught my students to do is how to get licensed, where to apply to get hired, and when and the skills needed to not only get hired but to stay hired, right?
Hmm.
And so, because of the pandemic, this job was almost never remote. Like literally, almost never. Like, it was very hard to get a remote position. But once the pandemic came, like probably 80% of my students at one point were working remote.
Hmm.
That's like 300 people. 300 people have gotten, probably had over 300 students now get hired. But at that time, I had a lot of students working remote. So they were able to make a strong income. Like I had 7 students make over 6 figures, and most of them made that from home. You know,
That's pretty cool. So it is kind of like opportunistic work, or do people find that they have work throughout the years, or it's just something that they can kind of pick up on evenings and weekends and they're just kind of on the bench?
well, it all depends. Now you're not gonna do evening and weekends. That's usually not gonna happen. What it's gonna be normally is kind of like what you said, opportunistic. There'll be seasons. All right, so you might work for 6 months out of a year, 8 months out of a year, 10 months out of a year, or you might be a person say, "How I want to work full time," and so you'll be looking for new deployments all the time. So you'll finish one and go straight to the next one. So it just depends on what you want out of it. I've had instances where I worked 8 months out of the year and I was done. Other times I did 18 months straight. It just depends on what you want.
Definitely makes sense. One or two last questions about it. So there are, full-time adjusters at Geico and Progressive and all these
Correct.
companies, and then they have too much work, and then they need to bring in the independent adjusters. Is
Right.
there? I imagine there's probably some sort of like friction or dynamic where the full-time guys are kind of like, that maybe they look at an independent guy's claims or like the work he did, and they're like, like these independent guys, like they don't really know how to
Yep.
do it.
And
You know what I mean?
that happens, bro. That happens sometimes. It just depends. Like it depends on how the insurance carriers present the adjusters. So, like for example, I'm not going to use names of companies, but there's some companies they hate independent adjusters. They're like, man, these guys are getting paid too much. We deserve to get paid more money. They don't need to be here. And then you have other ones where like we're so happy that these independent adjusters are here because we need the help. We're struggling over here.
Right.
So it just all depends on basically how, like I said, how the adjusters are presented to the
Right, right,
staff.
right. And is it sort of per hour based, or do they incentivize you? Is it based on sort of like the size of the claim at all, and you work bigger deals and you get more money, or is it more kind of like per deal per hour?
All right, so it's a bit of both actually. So we have something called day rate. And so they'll pay you X amount of dollars per day, no hourly, no what would be like we call it fee schedule, but for the sake of conversation, we'll say commission.
Hmm.
We don't say commission in the industry. We say fee schedule, but It essentially means fee schedule. It essentially means commission. So basically, what it means is, um, as you see more damage on a property, if you were to go out and inspect it in the field, and let's say you found $50,000 worth of damage, you get paid off the idea that you found much more damage. But if you only found $5,000 of damage, you get paid less, right? So uh, we get three different ways: day rate, fee schedule, which would be kind of like commission, and then a regular hourly rate.
Okay. Okay. Cool stuff. And when did you start teaching other people how to do this?
Man, so like formally in 2020, that's when I dropped the course. But I was getting people in the industry since 2017. But it was like a one-on-one thing. But I was telling them everything I tell them in the course. I was doing the same thing. It was just I wasn't doing it at scale yet.
And how did you how did it go dropping your first course? Like it must have been a largely unknown area. You didn't know if it was going to work out. You didn't know how
Bro.
much money you were going to make, if it was worth the investment of your time. How did that kind of go down?
Yeah, bro. So that was a little crazy, man. So like I got talked into making the course. I didn't want to make it. As a matter of fact, somebody else from Twitter was like, "Yo," they asked me because I never talked about what I actually did for a living. Because at that point, I was already in Brazil, and I
Hmm.
already been in Brazil almost a year. And they were like, "Yo, like, so what do you do?" And I explained what I did, kind of like what you just asked me. And she was like, "Steven, you should make a course about this." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever. I mean, I guess maybe I'll do it." And I kind of just like messed around with it, procrastinated. And then one day I did a pre-sale, and I did a pre-sale for a month. And in that month, I made the course. I did 11 grand the first 30 days
On
on the
the
course.
pre-sale.
Yeah, on pre-sale, I did $11,000,
Damn.
and that was it, bro. The rest was history, man. I was like, well, I think I got a hit on my hands.
That's a you know what? It does sound like it's a 10-year overnight success though, because like you said, you were cultivating your network for a decade before that.
I was, man. Also with that being said, like I have people like Lawrence King, for example. I don't know if y'all know Lawrence King, big guy
Yep. Yep.
in the South American circle, this whole expat circle. But Lawrence King, like I met Lawrence before I made my course. Like I took some of Lawrence's courses before I made my course. Like I had already saw how Tate marketed his courses. I had already seen how several people who
Hmm.
did well and who are doing well, I saw how they were marketing, right? Um, I was studying emails from Ben Settles. I was studying copywriting. I did a lot. I did a lot of back end work before I made the course.
So
Um,
you approached it the right way.
yeah, I took because see the thing, I had been in the insurance industry at that point. I've been in the insurance industry since 2008. But if you're going to get in the internet marketing specifically, that is not something you want to just hop into because you're gonna mess up a lot of money,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, there's
And
definitely a method.
yeah, so I studied for 2 years on all those things, and so when I dropped my course, I kind of knew how to put everything together at that point. I kind of knew how to stack my skills. My skills have been stacked, and I knew how to execute which ones I needed to execute. And I built a good reputation as well. I built a really good reputation, and I showed my lifestyle often, and so it was easy to vouch for me. You see,
Did you meet Lawrence King in person?
I did. I did meet Lawrence King in person.
Where'd you get where what city?
He came to my city. I was in Salvador, Brazil.
Oh shit.
Yeah, man. We came. I've met a few. I've met a few of the Latin America guys in person, man. But yeah, me and Lawrence had dinner together. Drinks, everything. We had a great time. Well, he doesn't drink, but I was drinking. But we had a great time, man. And Lawrence has helped me out a lot as far as on the internet business side of things.
Yeah, you know what? Can I ask you to do a little bit of a name dropping of kind of who you've met up with over the years?
Bro, I've met a lot of people, bro. Like Dylan Madden, obviously. I don't know if y'all know Dylan Madden or not. I think Dylan has an amazing
Yeah, we
story.
just did an interview. We just posted our interview with Dylan Madden like a week ago.
Bro, Dylan. That's my dog, man. Like I've met Dylan several times.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you know Logan Fitz. He's not a he was doing this. He was doing this thing in Latin America for a bit, but he was more like in and out kind of situation. He was there for like 2-3 months. Kicked it with him in
Mm,
Sao Paulo. Who else, man? What's my dog there? I don't want to say his real name, but his name is like Latin American 007.
okay.
I don't know if you know him or not. He kicked it with me in Salvador. Then I hung out with him in Sao Paulo. Um, See some more Brazil guys. Yusuf Latifi died, but he was like one of the first guys who pulled me in before I came to Brazil. He kind of like schooled me up on Brazil. You know, he died of COVID last summer, but he was a wealth of knowledge about Latin America, and he kind of gave me the lay of the land. So I spent a lot of time with him in Sao Paulo as well. Who else? Do you want to know like Twitter personalities I hung out with too, or just like straight up Latin American people?
Yeah, a bit of both. I mean, often it's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Then like y'all know Zuby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zuby, that's my dog. I kicked it with him in New York. My boy SolBrah, kicked it with him. That's my dog, man. Rivelino, the Green Line guy.
Yeah, you met that guy?
Hell yeah, man. I kicked it with him too, man. In Spain. Who
How
else,
old
man?
is that dude?
I'm not gonna give you any specifics, bro.
I'm pretty sure I get the vibe he's like 50.
Not 50. Rivelino's not 50, but he's older than me. I will not give away his identity. Okay. Hua Fury. I kicked it with him. Y'all know. You know Hua Fury.
No, I don't know that one.
Some of the listeners might know him. I was kicking it with him in the Netherlands. Niels, it's a artist cat from Dutch guy from the Netherlands as well. Kicked it with him. Kicked it with some guys out in Morocco. Sammy Dendane from Hype Fury. Shit, who else, man? Like I done kicked it with some people, bro.
Yeah, it's a pretty extensive list, man. That was more than a dozen.
Yeah, man. Like we're not mentioning the women either. So the women from Twitter. So
Have
yeah,
you met up with Dylan Madden in the US? Because he's from South Carolina. You guys could have been around the states too.
bro, we never met in the States, man. Never. That's just crazy, man. Like we met. I bumped in this. Let me think. I hung out with Dylan twice in Brazil, never in the United States. I'm probably gonna go to Paraguay and see him in
Hmm.
another couple months.
Yep,
But Dylan, that's my dog, man.
that's
Like,
cool.
yeah, man.
Yeah, I might be down there in Paraguay around the same time.
Well, shit, we need to kick it too, man. Um, I'm trying to think
Yeah,
who else, man.
I'm
Like,
dude. I'm here in Canada, just dreaming all day about Brazil and doing a little Nordeste tour.
bro, you need to come. Hey, man, you need to come up to Bahia, bro. I'm telling you, man, I'll show you a good time.
I'm definitely into it. Yeah. So, my thought would be like, why Brazil? How did you kind of start with Brazil, or did you start with other parts of Latin America first, or Europe, as you mentioned?
Yeah, man. So, um, let's talk about some nuts and bolts real quick. So for me, bro, I chose Brazil because of the problems I had in Canada. All right. So when I was in Canada, I'm black. Obviously, we already said that earlier, but I'm black, and the Africans that I was around gave me a lot of problems in Canada. It was giving me a lot of shit, man, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that. I also didn't like that everybody knew I was an American. So I wanted to be in a place where I blended in. I was in the Western Hemisphere, and it was still going to be good weather. And so it was going to be either Colombia, obviously the Caribbean, or Brazil. The Caribbean was out for me just because of weather. I didn't want to be stuck anywhere where I could get a hurricane and then like I wouldn't have internet service. I thought about
Hmm.
Colombia, but I was just like, no, I'm not doing Colombia. I had never been to Brazil, but I knew Brazil had a lot of black people, so I was like, I'll go. And also, I knew that Brazil, it wasn't just a black country; it had everybody there. anybody can be Brazilian, just as far as
Right.
looks.
Right.
But I was like, let me go here and let's see how it is. So I went for 6 weeks, and it was completely opposite. So like when I got to Brazil, everybody just thought I was Brazilian. They didn't think I was American at all. Like no one thought I was American, and so this helped a lot. Just from a learning culture standpoint, because in Canada, and it's crazy that you would think that in Canada it would be an easy thing to blend in there, but it wasn't. But in Brazil, I was in the favela like on day 3 of being in the country. Like I'm deep in a favela, like hanging out, drinking at a bar, and I didn't have any problems. I didn't speak the language yet, but everybody just assumed I was one of them. So that helped me a ton, man. Like flying under the radar. Um, I haven't had any issues because I just don't like a gringo until I start talking. Then they'd be like, "You don't know Portuguese like that." So where are you from? You know.
Did they ever have trouble with your English?
Um, in Brazil, bro, it's very few people who do speak English. So I was pulling that Google Translate out a lot. But I think that no, I didn't have any problems. I didn't have any problems, bro. It was really more like people were patient with me, and I was trying to speak Portuguese, and because I was trying, and they could see I was getting better, I got a lot of grace. You know what I'm saying? Like people were very patient, man. And then also, once I got into Brazil, I wasn't being a nomad inside Brazil. I was in the same city the whole time.
You posted up in Salvador the whole time.
Yeah, bro. Like I got to Salvador, that was it, bro. I didn't go to Rio until this year, until year 3. I had never set foot in Rio de Janeiro, bro. You feel me?
That's funny. That's
Yeah,
funny.
man. So, but I was able to build connections there because of time, and build relationships and build like deep connections because I was there every day, you know. I think that's something that a lot of people they don't what's what I'm looking for. They don't value that once they get out of their home country, and they'll go to like 4 cities in Brazil in 3 months. I'm like, well, you don't know anybody, by the way, and nobody cares about you, and everybody just forgot about you already. Why'd you do that? Just pick one place and stay there. That's what I think.
Yeah, what's funny is on the Dylan Madden episode we did, we actually talked quite a bit about the idea of locking down a city. He kind of
Hmm.
got that from Andrew Tate, and how the Tates kind of locked down Romania, and how they just valued the idea of being able to rock up to a restaurant, everyone knows their name, and get
Yeah.
that good service. And Dylan kind of took that to heart, and Dylan likes that too. He likes tipping well, going
Hmm.
back to the same place for dinner every single night. You
Yep.
know,
Yep. And I'm in the Tate school of thought because I learned that from the Tates as well. I'm reading this stuff on Twitter just like everybody else is. So like for me it was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, it's time I'm gonna do it. I go to the same restaurant 4 or 5 times a week. Everybody knows my name. Everybody knows the type of people I bring over, how I dress. But the thing is, like to what the Tate say, what Dylan said, probably told y'all on the thing. It's like, yo, man, you get treated better. You know, when you're not some random gringo and you treat people with respect, you get a much better experience out of these countries, wherever you are in the world.
and how did you first decide on Salvador? Was that the first city you rocked up to?
Yeah, bro. Well, yeah. To my point, that was a city that was gonna be the blackest, and so that was gonna make me blend in the best. You know, I was like, I know that we have some danger. Salvador is can be dangerous, and Brazil in general is not the safest place. And so I was like, I
Mhm.
gotta give myself some advantages here. And so I wanted to go to the place where I would blend in the best. And so Salvador was the best place for me to blend in at, and that helped out a ton because also there wasn't a lot of gringos there. Um, it's not a
Right.
lot of gringos who are there regularly, and so people weren't treating me with like this. I didn't get gringo priced all the time. I wasn't getting like scammed and stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Like there's not that much of an economy around. Like
Right.
people do go to Salvador, don't get us wrong. Like people go,
Yeah.
but they'll go for like a weekend, a week, maybe
Hmm.
during Carnival.
Yep.
But other than that, like personally don't hear of too many gringos that are posting up digital nomad style for multiple months.
They're not. They're not there, bro. They're not there, and it's a shame because I think Salvador and specifically Bahia in general, it has so much nature to offer. Man, it's such a beautiful place, but it intimidates most people because of the language barrier.
Yeah, I think almost every Brazilian, if you ask a Brazilian what is your favorite state in Brazil, they almost always say Bahia.
Yep, yep, exactly. But I think you have to have the courage to go and stay. And it's so few people, men or women, anywhere in the Western world that come to Salvador and be like, I'm staying. And I think that to Dylan's point and to Tate's point is like, yo, if you cannot play well with others long term in a place like Salvador, you're not going to win. You're just not going to win, bro, because it's not like Rio de Janeiro where everything tourist wise or gringo wise is right there in front of you. You got to go find it. And if you can't do that, yeah, you're gonna have some problems. I'll put it like that.
Yeah. I mean, tell people a little bit about Bahia and what makes Bahia like a unique state within Brazil.
Okay, so Bahia is like the size of France. First of all, it has like hundreds of miles of coastlines. Has like 2 dozen islands. All right, and it's like the Caribbean islands, by the way. It's not like just some bullshit island. Like, these are like beautiful islands. Um,
Yeah.
Great food. It's like the when people people talk about food in Brazil, the Brazilians they really like Bahian food. Um, the water's really warm
Yep.
there as well. You can basically hop in the water year round. If you ever any of y'all ever been to Rio, Rio, as y'all know, has cold water. So Rio is beautiful, but you can't enjoy the beach. You can be on the beach, but you can't get in the water. Like in Bahia, you can go, scuba diving, spearfishing, surfing, just hop in the water literally any time of the year, and it's going to be warm. And so that's something that's special about Bahia as well. And then just a slower pace, you know, it's a much slower pace, and the people are very hospitable, and it's just real like solid earth type people, man. Like I really enjoy Bahia, and there's so many like just secluded places with like 4 people on the beach. Sometimes you go to beaches, nobody's on the beach, bro, just because it's that much coastline. You just be on beaches where there's literally nobody. You know, on some of these islands, it's special, man. It's really really special, and I think I've done a good job of hiding that because I don't post all my pictures.
And the coastline I know is unbelievable and it looks Caribbean.
Hmm.
Perfect beaches. But the state goes quite uh deep into the interior of Brazil too, and it's
Yeah,
quite varied, right? Like it kind of
yeah,
almost becomes like a desert or mountainous. I
it
think I don't know
does.
if it's Bahia, but there's like these like secret like mining towns or something like that.
Yes, bro, Bahia,
Um
Chapada. So they have these. They have this. It's a mining town called Lençóis, in Chapada Diamantina. So it's this huge national park inside Bahia, called Chapada Diamantina, and it's like imagine like a green Grand Canyon. It's that type of look, like they have these secluded waterfalls, like all these waterfalls, like insane waterfalls. Then they have all these cave. It's a whole cave system in there, and it's just for one state to have islands and have caves and mountains and all these like nature trails and everything. It's really like it's almost overwhelming how pretty it can be.
yeah, I'm actually pulling up my Google Maps because I do have some stars on Bahia. I do have Chapada Diamantina
Yeah,
as a star. There's another spot. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's called like Caeté.
Kaitasu.
It's another
Mm.
small town in there with like yeah, Caeté.
It's in Chapada Diamantina.
Uh, it's near there. It's near there.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of small
Um,
towns.
but yeah, long story short, there's like there's all these small towns that are really really cool. Like what is kind of the interior of Bahia like? Have you spent some time in there?
Yes, I have. I have, man. Like, so y'all know I'm from Alabama, so this is what I'm used to. I'm used to rural areas. I'm used to like a lot of farm. It's like a lot of farmland too, bro. It's a ton of farmland. Very slow
Hmm.
pace of living out there, and it's sparsely populated. So you're not just going to be bumping into people. Like these are like real deal small towns, but just it's just great people overall, and like even the drive, like driving from Salvador to Chapada Diamantina is 6 hours. Beautiful drive, beautiful drive. Is safe. I drove there and back. Um, you'll rarely see police. It's pretty decent roads the whole way. I had cell phone service probably 80% of the way, um, and I had a ball. I had a ball in the interior, but the interior in Bahia is famous during Fojos, during for Fojo. So during São João, Festa de Junho. So that's in June. There's a lot of so basically everybody in Bahia, in like places like Salvador, Loja, Fitz, like the cities, they go to the interior to celebrate São João. And it's basically like a country carnival. Like that's the best way I can explain it. Like everybody puts their like flannel shirts on and cowboy
Yeah.
boots, and they go dance fojo in all these small countryside towns, and it's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. I think I'm deeply interested in seeing more of Bahia, especially because like Salvador is interesting and we can talk more about the city of
Mhm.
Salvador,
Mhm.
but it is known for being dangerous and I think I would kind of have problems there personally if I spend a lot of time there. But I have a feeling, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a feeling if you can just get out of the city of Salvador and see the rest of the state, you'll be able to let your guard down a little bit.
Mhm.
It's gonna be, cleaner, cheaper, good food, dance foho, sick
Yeah,
waterfalls. It must be
yeah,
dope, right?
yeah. I'll put it like this: Salvador is not like Rio or Sao Paulo, where you really got to pay attention, right? Like I walk around with my cell phone out all the time. If I'm in a restaurant outside, I'll have my cell phone on the table. Salvador is dangerous, but it's dangerous in the favelas. All the places you're going to be, more than likely, have tourist police by there, and so you can walk freely most parts of the day, right? Anywhere in the world, you're walking around 11 o'clock at night, you're at higher risk of something happening to you just because it's late at night, right? But for the most part, Salvador, in my experience and how I've seen gringos experience Salvador, I haven't heard of anybody being like, "Yo, I got robbed. Somebody stole my cell phone." They might have stolen some. They might have got a cell phone stolen like because they left it in a bag or something like that. But I haven't had any of my friends like get strung on, robbed, or beat up or something like that. In
Really? I heard it was like pretty like I heard it could get a little like zombies walking around, like it's like,
nah,
ooh,
nah, that's old. That's old Salvador, bro. That's like 2015, 2016. They stopped all that.
okay.
They really, Salvador is really trying to clean their image up with tourists, and so they stopped all that, bro. That's Yeah, like Pelourinho is a famous tourist area. It used to be like that. It used to be like that
Hmm.
in Rio de Janeiro as well, but they stopped all that though. They cleaned it up, man. And it's I haven't seen that in my time there at all. You know. I would say if anything, the tourist areas
Okay.
have gotten safer over the last 3 years.
Okay, yeah, I believe that because I think a lot of these anecdotes probably might come from like the mid 2010s.
Yeah, yeah. And they were right back then. They were right for sure. That's exactly how it was back then, but not now. No, not
That's
now.
pretty cool. Yeah, you probably know we have city guides on our website
Mm-hmm.
to cities in Brazil and other places in Latin America. And
Mm-hmm.
I was actually recently reading just today actually, I was reading the Recife city guide we have, and
Mm-hmm.
the conclusion to the Recife city guide, it says it says how did it put it? It was like because it was written by the previous uh Vance, but
Mm-hmm.
he said He said like Recife is unsafe, but you're not compensated with having like a sick city the way Salvador is. So for
Uh,
something with something for an equal level of danger as
yeah,
Recife, you might as well just go to Salvador where it's like actually a cool dynamic place. And I
yeah,
know like it's kind of similar to Portugal a little bit. They have those what's it called like elevators, and it's very
yeah,
hilly.
yeah. They do. Yeah, yeah. They got all that, man. I think the other Vance makes a point though. Like if you're gonna be in a dangerous place, you need to get a payoff for it. You know, I've never wanted to go to Recife ever, and that's because I heard they had sharks in the water. I don't want to deal with sharks. In Salvador, I can just hang out in the water all day long. Nothing's gonna happen to me. I'm just gonna get soggy. You know, that's it. But like
Mhm.
Recife, I haven't heard enough good things about it. Whether it's the women, the nightlife, or the overall scene for me to want to go.
And yeah, just give us like a little bit more color on Salvador. Like what's kind of like a day in the life, or what are the top attractions, or if someone was to visit you, someone was to reach down, like
Mhm.
what are you gonna show them?
Man or woman, before I start this conversation.
One of the, I mean, I think our audience is probably primarily male, so if one of the internet bros comes down.
Ah man, so when Lawrence came down, I showed him some spots, some restaurants, things like that. When some of my friends have come down, it's really been I really want them to see the nature and how beautiful it is before anything, right? Every city in the world has women, right? I want to show them restaurants that are a little more high end, because you can get a street whatever in any place. Every place in the world has a street version of their food, right? Some cheap $5 thing or $2 thing, right? And so I try to skip past that. I also don't. I try to skip past the tourist beaches. So I want to show you stuff that you wouldn't see. Those are the beaches that's off the beaten path. Some views that's off the beaten path. Some sunset views. So Salvador is called the city of the sunset. So like, bro, it's some insane views for sunset. It doesn't make any sense, dog. Seriously, it's beautiful. Like people like applaud the sunset. Literally, like they clap their hands on the beach. And then as far as like the nightlife, bro, Rio Vermelho, it's just a neighborhood in the city, man. Like just pumping, man. Tons of club, tons of bars, man. A lot of shit you can get into there. You can walk on foot. You're not gonna have any problems all night long in that area. Another one is Pelourinho. So Pelourinho is like the old city. It's like 450 years old, 470 years old, something like that. And that's usually where all your concerts are going to be at night. And so if you want to do a samba show, you want to see Foho, you want to see Pagode, Pagadão, like any of those music genres, they're going to be in Pelourinho. And it's going to be like famous artists, bro. You're going to see like the big artists in Pelourinho. Salvador just made a convention center. So like that's where some of like the newer contemporary artists are. Like the big shows with several thousand people, they'll be over there in Costa Azul. And then like for my guys that want to have a little more fun, there's another set of clubs I can take them to. If you catch my drift, you know. So it's got a lot for it's got a lot. Salvador has a lot to offer, and I think it's cheaper than Rio. It's safer than Rio, and don't think that just because you're not black, you wouldn't be able to blend in, dog. Like you'll blend in for the most part. Okay. Um, just be cool. As long as you're cool, bro, everybody else is gonna be cool. Once you start being like reckless, aggressive, I had an incident with a guy, an American. I told my like, I kind of have pet peeves. I'm sure you got your own pet peeves about gringos. And I told my friend, I said, look, bro, I don't want to meet anybody that doesn't speak Portuguese, right? And so this happened in Rio de Janeiro, but this is something that's just you shouldn't do this anywhere in the world. But in Brazil, these guys do not play about their women, okay? And this guy, I
In
told him, I was like, hey,
Salvador
bro,
specifically.
well, just in general, in Brazil in general, these Brazilian dudes are not playing about their women. So like
A little
this guy,
protective.
yeah, they really overprotective, and you cannot just try to holler at one of their girls. You know what I'm saying? So the guy goes up to this girl. He's trying to get her number, but he doesn't realize because he doesn't speak Portuguese. He doesn't realize that that's her boyfriend that's next to him. And so the dude punches him. He gets sucker punched because he was trying to talk to somebody's girlfriend. And he comes back mad, like, Steve, man, what the hell, man? Like, we got to go fight those guys. I was like, no, we not. We ain't doing shit. You gonna do it. I didn't have anything to do with that. I understood that was her boyfriend. You didn't. So long as you don't do things like that, you're not gonna have a problem with anybody, bro.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's good to
Yeah.
hear. And then, if it was a girl that was going to visit you in Salvador, what would you do differently?
I mean, it would be the same thing. I think it would just be a difference in like I'll probably try to connect her to some girls I know there. And it just depends. Cause like some people, especially women I see, they come to Salvador for religion. So Candomblé is a big time religion in Salvador. Okay. They have something called Imanjá Festival. So you'll see women come down because they want to connect into a different spiritual system, right? Um, I do see people like that, and I usually try to connect those women with other women that are on that. I will say that some women come down to explore themselves sexually. You know what I'm saying? So tantric is really big out there. Tantric massage, tantric sex, all that type of stuff. So you'll see it's little enclaves of that as well. It's bro, it's a mixed pot, man. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot you can get out of Salvador, and a lot you can give to Salvador if you're willing to be open, man or woman. You know.
Hmm. And do you think people are typically like the typical tourist or flow of foreigners into Salvador? Is it people coming down from the north, or is it people coming up from the south of Brazil?
It's people coming from the south usually. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they
people
want the
coming from
better
the south.
weather. They want a little Caribbean type vibe.
Yeah, yeah. You'll see, as far as Brazilians, you'll see a lot of people from Sao Paulo and a lot of people from Rio come up to Salvador. A lot, specifically Sao Paulo. You'll see a lot of Europeans come to Salvador. Who else comes? But as far as in country, it's a lot of people from the South, bro.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely makes sense. All right. I'm gonna ask you about a couple different spots within the state of Bahia.
Hmm.
And maybe you could just give us a little bit of a breakdown on like what the vibe is or what you know about these
Okay.
places.
Okay.
Should be pretty. You'll know these spots. You'll know these
Okay.
spots.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the first one is you definitely know this spot, which is Mojo G Sao Paulo.
Morro de São Paulo,
Mojo G Sao
bro.
Paulo.
That shit is pumping,
Yeah. What's
boy.
the vibe there?
Pumping, dog. Oh my god, bro. Yeah, man, that's a spot, man. That is a spot, man. I had a ball there. I highly recommend it for New Year's. Any of your big holidays in Brazil, I recommend Morro de São Paulo. It's a 4 hour ride from Salvador via boat. Um, it's huge as far as tourism is concerned. Like there's four beaches. So there's beach one, beach two, three, and four.
Hmm.
And they have some really nice hotels on the island. They have a ton of food options, ton of shopping options, ton of alcohol. If you steal, they will kill you. Okay, so don't come down there trying to steal from nobody because the cops will get you or the gang members will get you. And but that's to your favor if you're not a thief because it's really safe. You know, they have some clubs there that's pumping as well. So it's yo man, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Mojo de São Paulo. And then
And
there's another
is the
island.
internet pretty good there? I have a buddy that spent time there as a digital nomad. Is the internet like workable for a month in Mojo de Sao Paulo?
I wouldn't do any of the islands for a month, bro. None of them. Mojo is better than let's say Morere or Boipeba. But the if you need to go for a weekend or a week and you had some stuff you need to handle, you could get it done. But I couldn't get real business done when I was in Mojo.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. The next one is a place a little further south called Grande. Baja
Barra
Grande.
Grande.
Yeah.
Barra Grande. That's another tourist spot. Another tourist spot. So before we go into all these cities, just know that you're rattling off like tourist places, right? And so these are gonna be seasonally hot, right? It's going to depend on how good your Portuguese is. Are you dating somebody down there, or are you just coming in for a couple weeks, 3 weeks, right? If you're coming in around holiday season for a place like Baja Grande, you're going to have a good time. If you're coming in just like right now, for example, in July, it's going to be lame because it's the rainy season right now, you know?
Right.
So it would suck to be in Baja Grande right now unless you were like in a serious relationship with somebody, you know?
Makes sense. But it's like, and it's smaller than
Yeah,
Moho.
yeah, yeah, it is. It is.
Is one of those two places like pedestrian only, no cars?
Mojo do São Paulo is pedestrian only. Any of the islands are going to be pedestrian only for the most part, almost exclusively. They're going to be pedestrian only, or there'll be bikes. You just see bikes everywhere.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
Next place, just keep on. We just keep going down the
yeah. Come
coast.
on,
Is Itacare. Itacare.
Itacate, same thing, man. Same rules apply. I'm waiting for you to give me some good names so I can tell you some more. But Itacate, same thing as Baja Grande. Um, you want to go on some like Itacate is a cool place, like on some like let's go for 3 days. Hey, me and my homeboys. Hey, it's 3 or 4 of us. We got 3 or 4 other people with us. Let's go as a group, right? If you're going
Yep.
solo, bro, as far as Itacare, Baja Grande, Morro de São Paulo, if you're not going during the peak season, don't go solo. Don't go solo. It's going to be much harder for you.
Yeah, it's too small.
Yeah, it's just way too small, man. Like, and it ain't a bunch of young women just floating around during those time periods, you know, because they all in Salvador and Rio and
Makes
Sao
sense.
Paulo.
Makes
What else?
sense. And then the fourth one is a little bit bigger, which is Ileus.
Eleus. See, I gotta use some more names. I'm putting all those cities in the same bag. Okay, I'm gonna
They
give
kind of
y'all.
are. That's kind of what I wanted, was like a little bit of the what's the difference?
Yeah, they're all. We're gonna
Yeah.
put them all in the same bag, bro. Like sleepy beach
Okay.
towns when it's not on the peak season. Fortaleza is Fortaleza on that list.
You mean like the actual Fortaleza in the
No,
northeast?
yeah, in the northeast. Yeah, it's in Bahia. Well, no, it's not in Bahia, but it's in the northeast. So
Yeah. No,
Fortaleza.
I was sticking just to Bahia stuff.
Oh, so what about Trancoso? Did you put down there?
Is that still in Bahia? But yeah, I know
Yeah,
about
bro, it's
that.
in the
And
south. It's in the
Porto
south of
Seguro.
Bahia, bro. So Trancoso,
Shit. Bahia is
so
huge.
dog, I told you, it's the size of France, bro. Like Bahia is so big, bro. So
Yeah.
Trancoso
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
it's like, bro, it's like the luxury area of Bahia. Okay, you
Yeah,
go
it's
down
like
there, you bring
Tulum.
your bro. It's like Bali. It ain't like Tulum. It's like Bali, bro. As far as what you can get out there, and I'm not saying it's cheap. I'm saying as far as architecture, it's real, barefoot chic type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like yachts and shit like that. You go down there, you better bring your
Yeah.
wallet, okay?
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
there's a
it's
bunch of spots right in there. So there's
what's the photo?
Caraiva, there's Arraial de Ajuda,
Mm-hmm.
there's Pichinga. They're all
Mm-hmm.
kind of right beside each other. There's Taipei.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah.
you got all that, but that is a spot. Everybody digital nomad different, so everybody earns their money differently, right? But if I would do Trancoso if I wanted to do it like a level up. You know what I'm saying? If I wanted to be like on some like some
Hmm.
some fly shit, I would do Trancoso for like Christmas, New Year's, or Carnival.
Yeah.
I
People
would
get
do it.
married there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But that's like again, hey, we got a group of 15 people. We rented out a big spot. We got 2 or 3 houses next to each other. I would do a thing like that in Trancoso. Rent a yacht. Yacht party stuff like that.
Yeah. I guess for people not looking at a map currently like I am, so those first three or four places that I named were all generally close to each other,
Hmm.
closer to the city of Salvador, and then kind of, I don't know, maybe 100 kilometers further south is where it starts, Porto Seguro, where I think there's an
Hmm.
airport, and then there's like Transcoso, and in Caraíva and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'll give you one not on the coast, one that looked kind of interesting, and this is a town right near Salvador, but in the interior. But it looks big
Okay.
enough that it might have its own vibe. You might know what I'm talking about. It is called Feira de Santana.
Feira de
What do you know
Santana.
about Feira de Santana?
Um, I don't go there. I don't go to Feira de Santana just because. Um, all right, how do I put this? Okay, so what Salvador did to clean Salvador up a bit for like tourist areas and all that. The police basically round up homeless people and like criminals and stuff like that, and they just push them out into the interior. Okay, that includes Lauro de Freitas and that includes Feira de Santana. Right, and so it can get real sketchy real quick out there. Um, and it doesn't get you anything better than Salvador. So you have an increased level of danger, possibly, right? And for any Brazilians that's listening to this right now, if I made a mistake, oh well. But that's just my assumption because I don't hear anybody, all my Bahia friends, nobody's like, yo, you got to come to Fedeji sometime. Like nobody's telling me that. There might be like a big concert every once in a while, maybe, but it's nothing that you can't get in Salvador or Lourdes de
Mm-hmm.
Freitas, for that matter. But Fedeji Santana, I've been through it driving to Shpaji Machina. But it's nothing that I would. If you just felt like driving over there, do it. But like, it's not
Okay,
anything where you just need to be like, "Yo, I'm going
that's good
Fed."
to know. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it just sometimes those inland cities, the industrial cities, can be a gold mine, but it sounds like that's not the one.
They can, but like, you gotta think about it, bro. Like the interior of Bahia, like so, Bahia is already a slow paced state. I'm living in a city of 3 million people, and it's still slow paced. In the interior, bro, it's sleepy, slow. Like nothing's going on, and also not only is nothing going on, like people are much more poor than they would be in the city. So that
Yeah, it makes
influences
sense.
my life.
So you mentioned Lauro de Freitas a couple times, which is
Yeah.
just kind of like just north of the city
hmm
of Salvador. What's
hmm
going on in Lauro de Freitas?
In Lauda, so in Lauda de Freitas, man, it's like literally right there. It's just like the city right next to it, right next to Salvador. They got a lot of clubs there, bro. A lot of clubs, man.
Oh yeah.
If you want to experience some different like shows for like younger people, in some of their music genres, you go to Large Fretas, man. They got a different type of chick out there too. Um, Different looks, So it's it's all right, man. But it's a place you would pop by. I wouldn't stay in Large Fretas. You know what I'm saying? As a gringo, you just don't have your Portuguese is not that good
Hmm.
to go there. Go by, pop up for the night, Uber back to the house, stay for a weekend type of thing. But yeah, you really want to be well versed, on your Portuguese and everything before you start, popping over the Logi for that to
Yeah,
just
then
at random.
yeah, it makes sense. We can kind of move on to a different format, but I'll hit you with like one or two more.
Let's go.
Um, do you ever so the just to the north of the state of Bahia is the state of Sergipe, if I'm pronouncing that right,
GP.
Sergipe.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you ever get up there and go to the capital of Aracaju?
I know what you're talking about, but I haven't been there. I haven't been there yet. It's so many islands in Bahia, bro. Like it's so many islands, man. You got to kind of pick a section of them and do it at a time.
Fair enough. Well, and then you mentioned Fortaleza. Sounds like you want to talk about Fortaleza. Do you
I
do
do want to
you
talk about
enjoy?
Fortaleza.
Do you like the city?
Now, I'm only gonna be able to tell you what I heard, all right? Because I never been there, but it is the party. Like it's like some party shit, bro. Like y'all want to party, you go to Fortaleza. You want to leave Salvador, you still want to experience kind of like, the tropical vibe and all that. It's
much wider, you know, um, and you'll see a lot of Europeans there. You'll see a lot of Americans there during peak season. A great place to kick it for like a month, maybe a month and a half, 2 months during like, December, January, or January, February that lead up into Carnival. Great place to hang out, man.
Yeah, kind of similar to Salvador in that they're quite large cities. We're talking like 3 million
Yeah,
people,
and it's
and
safer too. Fortaleza is safer.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
It's
Fortaleza is kind of like the biggest one between, or sorry, I mean it's almost like Salvador is at like the bottom part of the Northeast, and then
hmm
there's all these like little state capitals along the way,
hmm
and they're all like apparently pretty good. I don't know the differences super well, but they're all like pretty good. Aracaju, as I mentioned, Maceió,
yeah.
Recife, João Pessoa, Natal, etc.
hmm
And then at the very top of that is Fortaleza, and then I guess arguably São Luís if you keep going. But yeah, I feel like Fortaleza to Salvador is kind of like the corridor.
Yeah, it is, man. And I think like, you know, I don't know how long guys will be there. But if you have the time, I would pick one major city to kick it in, and I would pick one of these areas to start to explore. If you can do that, you're gonna get a really good lay of the land. Like I've been there for like 3.5 years, guys. So like I didn't do all this in 3 months. Okay, this took me, years. Like, oh, I forgot to go to Chapada Diamantina this year. I gotta go next year, or hey, I want to go to this island. So like I did Mojo my second year in Brazil. I did Chapada Diamantina. I did Chapada this year, like 3 months ago, 4 months ago. So like, and then just hearing guys be in Fortaleza or hearing about these places several times and asking about them. That's how I learned like all this stuff about them. And then obviously some places I went to clearly.
Yeah, man. So I gotta tell you, we try to not talk about dating on My Latin Life just
Okay,
because um you know what I mean.
I know
I'm
what you
not
mean.
trying to get canceled or anything, but
I got you. I
but
got you.
we try to touch upon nightlife and stuff like that
hmm
to give people enough of an idea of what the vibe is, and then they can go
hmm
explore it for themselves. But maybe
Perfect.
you could just tell us a little bit about what the in a PG way, tell us a little
I
bit
got,
about how nightlife in Salvador works, and actually kind of how the dating market works,
I got
and kind of how you've chosen to navigate the dating market, because I'm just guessing you're probably one of the top guys.
you. Bro, yeah, yeah. We're gonna do PG, bro. I can tell you for real when we get off record live. We're not recording, but just for the sake of this conversation, guys, I'm gonna keep it PG. I don't know what everybody's goals are. So in Bahia, women are much more traditional in the sense of what they want, right? So you know, they'll sleep with you quickly, right? You'll sleep with a girl first night, maybe second time you see her. That's normal. That does not mean she is in love with you. Okay, that's just how it is. All right, that's just a girl. Y'all go on a first date. It's going well. You're gonna sleep with her probably, more than likely. If not, at least you're gonna make out. But they're doing that because they want to confirm that the physical is there. All right, the chemistry is there before anything goes any further because they're really big on chemistry.
Hmm.
Um, Another thing, this was taught to me by my Uber driver when I got there. He was like, "Look, man, it's illegal not to have sex every day in Bahia." I said, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, it's illegal." So, Bahian women are known for their sexual appetites. Now, with that being said, that don't mean that just gonna be this falling in your lap, right? You still got to be a cool guy. In Bahia, women respect masculinity a lot more. So if you're coming from the West, Western men, whether we're American, Canadian, Australian, European, we are a lot more passive than a Brazilian man would be. And so when you aren't being as aggressive, these women will just think you're gay. Okay. Either you don't like them or you're gay. Right. And so that whole like waiting to kiss a girl, waiting to hold hands with her, touch her kind of stuff, that's a negative for her. So you got to kind of ramp that up a bit because that's what she's used to. Also, they're used to men being a bit more masculine, even in relationships, right? So, like, I tell my friends, like, you have to up the masculinity when you get down here because, whatever you think you are, just up it a couple more levels and you'll be okay. But being like scared to kiss a girl, scared to approach a girl, like all that is a great way not to win down there. Am I being PG enough, Vince?
That was slightly less PG than I was expecting, but
Okay.
I'm sure the audience is loving it, and I think you're still within bounds. Keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So that's that. I will say that yeah. So like down there in Bahia, you're gonna be more of a. You can be a player a bit, but it ain't anywhere in the world. Being a player ain't gonna really work. You gonna have to really like keep it on the wraps. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna be out here like 10 girls in a club type situation, and it's just you. That's not happening. But usually most of the men I know that come down, they usually have a girlfriend or a main girl within a month, maybe 2 months. That's just the norm. Because the women know how to take care of men. You know what I'm saying? Also, they're not gonna take a whole bunch of disrespect either, though, right? Like you will get left just like anybody else. These are still women, right? What else can I tell y'all? Salvador is not like Rio. Any of y'all who have a general idea of Rio and women, Salvador is not like that. Okay, so you come up to Salvador acting like you would act in Rio, or trying to do the things you do in Rio with women in Salvador, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening for the average girl.
What do you mean by that?
I'm trying to be PG now, but what I mean by that is like you have guys that go to Rio and they just pay chicks. They just straight up pay girls. You know what I'm saying? And there's a culture of that in Rio. There's a lot of girls who are like they're on Tinder, but they're escort. You know what I'm saying? So like you'll take them to dinner, and they're like, "Well, it's 300 reais for dinner. Yeah, you got to pay her 300 reais and take her to dinner." You know what I'm saying? Uh, it's a lot of that in Rio. You won't see that in Salvador. So like also down in Salvador, nobody speaks English, bro. Like 99% of women you meet are not going to speak English. Don't even think that it's going to happen. And they don't like the fact that you won't try to speak Portuguese. They'll usually stop talking to you fairly quickly. If you're being passive, you're not trying to speak Portuguese, and you can't dance or you don't want to try to dance, forget about it. It's not happening. If you have bad hygiene, you're not pulling chicks, bro. Forget about it. You don't want to take a shower. You got to take 2 showers a day down there in Brazil. Brazilians value hygiene, So it's. But with all that being said, like I have had a ball down there. I've had a great time, but I try to show the women I date a great time. You know what I'm saying? Like most of the men these women are dating, if we're going to speak candidly about it, don't have money, right? If a guy's 25, 26, 27, he can't take her to a 200 reais dinner or 300 reais dinner. Or he can't take her to an island for the weekend, right? Like, so I'm not saying like just spend a bunch of money on these women. I'm just saying like you are a gringo that's there. You cannot also just take her to the same bar that João takes her to. You know what I'm saying? You need to do something a little different.
You got to amp it up.
Yeah, you just gotta amp it up, bro. But it's gonna be fun for everybody. It's gonna be fun for you. It's gonna be fun for her. You know. And I'll say also like so race obviously plays a factor in dating culture, but that doesn't absolve you from not having game. I've seen some white guys out there just crush it, but I've seen some white guys out there who can't pull nobody. You know what I'm saying? They can't pull chicks because they don't have any game. You got to have some game out there. I had a guy, this Brazilian guy actually, a white guy, older guy. He was like a big time accountant for one of the grocery stores. Like he was like the main accountant for the district of grocery stores in the area. And he was like, "Look, Steve, you'll be able to get any black woman you want, any mixed women you want, but you will not be able to get white women, like the best white women." And I was like, "For real?" He was like, "Yeah, for real." And he was right. That was the truth. Because race plays a role in dating. a big role in dating in Brazil. People date interracially more in Brazil, but like even with that, the kind of same rules apply, right? I would say that for a white guy or European white guy or a Canadian or whoever, or even an Asian guy, whoever, right? If you come to Brazil, you're going to be able to get a lot of women, but in certain women, you're not going to be able to get it all because your language barrier or the fact that you're foreign, or they've been burned by foreigners before, you know? So, am I still keeping a PG, Vance?
Yeah. Just don't say anything that want me to edit out later. Just don't make
All
work
right, I
for
won't. I
me.
won't. I won't.
No, I know you're saying there's like a chart that goes around, and it's like Spanish level and level of beauty of women that you can attract, and it's like perfectly in sync. And it's like as your language skills go up,
Mm-hmm.
um, you're gonna be able to get better women because like a lot of girls are definitely like you'll get lots of like eights and nines and stuff like that, but someone that's like extremely sought after, they're not gonna really deal with the whole like Google Translate bullshit.
No, hell no. Because they can get rich guys in their language, in their culture. They don't have to learn anything, you know? And I will say, bro, you are so right. The better my Portuguese has gotten, the quality of woman I've gotten has been way higher, bro. Like where I am now, 3.5 years into speaking Portuguese, and where I was day one, it's like night and day, bro. You know, because a woman can see you and be attracted to you, but you're stumbling over how to say good morning. She's not giving you the time of day.
Yeah.
You stumbling over like how to order food at a restaurant, like get the hell out of here. She don't want to deal with that.
Yeah. And for yeah, I mean, and you jumped off the deep end, whereas like a lot of people would maybe start in Sao Paulo or something, and they could get
Mhm.
the half and half going.
No, you, screw the half and half, man. Just go ahead. Look, man, you go to Brazil, get your girl who doesn't speak any English at all. Don't date women who speak English. Okay,
I have
you'll be
had that
much
rule in the past.
you'll be much better for it. Okay, she started speaking English. She's also probably consuming American content, American internet trends. Yeah, it's just not.
Right. You don't want her to be exposed to that.
Yeah, because like I dated a girl when I first got to Brazil, and she spoke amazing English. Bad idea. Okay, she was reading all these American articles about relationships, and feminism, and yeah, bro, it's terrible, bro. It
Yeah,
was
that's
terrible.
funny. I think I was very militant in the beginning, and I was like, "Do not speak English to me, or I'm not hanging out with you," type shit. And I've kind of like relaxed that back, where I'm just kind of like, you know what, we'll just get the Spanglish going or the Portuguese mix, and it's totally fine. Like I know you want to get some value out of this too.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, bro. I wasn't like that. I wasn't like that. I needed help. I was like, yo, we going like I think I spoke English in Brazil the entirety of my relationship with her those first 2 years, and I was speaking Portuguese with other people. But if I had spoke Portuguese with her as well, I would have learned Portuguese so much faster, you know.
Hmm.
And I probably had more fun too, but that's neither here nor there. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I think for my guys that like, you're trying to get out, and it's not just about Brazil, like, any of these Spanish speaking countries or Brazil, like, you need to have some rules like, yo, how many gringos have you dated? If it's more than one, like, you don't need to talk to her anymore
Hmm.
because she's a
I
gringo
agree with
chaser.
that. I agree with that.
You know, that woman is a gringo chaser. Like, um, so you need to ask good questions. Like, I had a friend of mine, he was in the airport. He met a girl at she worked at the airport, and she was like, "Yeah, I got a lot of friends that are gringos," and he still kept talking to her. I was like, "Bro, what are you doing? If she doesn't speak Portuguese, if she doesn't speak English, but all her friends are gringos and there's a lot of guys, are you not putting two and two together? She's smashing all the gringos,
Where do you
right?
think she learned English?
Yeah, bro. She's learning English from. Well, with my friend, I don't think he put two and two together. That she's clearly just grabbing guys from. Uh, she's grabbing guys at the airport. My ex, she learned Portuguese. She learned English in school, and then she went and lived in England.
Oh, like the girl wasn't even on the flight. She was just like chilling at the
No,
airport, or
bro,
like
she was just chilling at the
at the
airport,
cab
bro.
stand.
Yeah, man, not
Damn,
that point,
that's like kidnap level shit.
bro. Like, so I talked to him. I was like, "Yo, put her on the phone. I want to talk to her," because he didn't speak Portuguese. And so I was like, "Hey, what's up? What are y'all doing tonight?" Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
She's like, "I'm gonna do this, this, and this." Somehow he fumbled. He didn't smash her, but that's neither here nor there. But he went out with her that night. But I would say to guys, if she knows like anything more than like very basic English, just pass on it. You're gonna have a richer experience just dealing with somebody that only speaks their language, and it's gonna help you so much more. You know,
Hmm.
because
So you
women,
said that Bahia was actually pretty traditional,
it
but then
is,
it sounded, more not traditional. So I totally get what you're saying. I understand how there's sort of like a paradox.
yeah,
It's almost like Latin women. It's almost like the traditional ones are more traditional, but the modern ones are, or the whatever sexy ones
yeah.
are like more modern. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Whereas like in the US, everyone's kind of like a little bit more in the middle, but I feel like in Latin America, it's a little bit more on the extremes. Or like
yeah.
how are people in Bahia still traditional? Like they're just very like marriage minded and like
They're
long term
relationship
relationship
minded,
minded.
bro. They're relationship minded. You know what I'm saying? You might still get into bed early with one, but it's still like we're doing this. Like, hey, I like you. I want to be with you. You know, if we do this more than a few times, like they, in Portuguese they say ficando, or just ficando. So it's like
Hmm.
we're staying together, like we're talking essentially.
Yeah.
And then you go into dating, right? So you might be messing around with this chick 3 or 4 or 5 months. In your head, that's not your girlfriend. In her head, you're her boyfriend already. You might not have said, "Hey, you my girlfriend now," but y'all are dating. Y'all are together. You know, so it's something to consider for the guys who can pull it off. You know, dating several women at a time down there. Might mess around and have 2 or 3 girlfriends. You know, without knowing it, if you keep them all in consistent rotation. So just something to keep in mind.
And so I'm guessing that a lot of these girls that you meet, they'll end
Mhm.
up kind of bringing you to meet their family, and
Yeah,
it's probably a very
yeah,
different experience. Like, and that's like the window into a world. It's crazy, and you've
hmm,
probably had some pretty cool experiences where you've gone to kind of like, backyard barbecue type vibes, and
so
there's some music playing, and you meet the family, and you end up talking to some random uncle for like time, and all this type of
yeah,
stuff. Like,
bro.
do you want to like break down
Yeah,
like
I
one
got,
or two
bro, I
vivid
got a lot of them stories.
experiences?
I got a lot of them stories, bro. Like I've my ex, she had like a whole bunch of those types of family around, and like, bro, like I would go hang out with the guys, man, watch soccer games with like uncles and cousins and like brother-in-laws and stuff like that. Um, just like the first time I met her family, I had been dating her for like bro, I had known her for like 6 weeks, and I met like everybody. Right? It was her 30th birthday party. Don't date over 30, by the way. But so it was our 30th birthday party. So I'm there and I meet everybody, and I'm just there like dancing samba, drinking with everybody, with like cousins and uncles and shit. And like I wound up doing this. I started hanging with her family every weekend. You know,
Hmm.
I come by, I grill sometimes, bring a pack of beer by. Hey Steve, come over here with us. We're doing this over here. Going to soccer games with guys. Like it's a great like I think one thing that I think that we don't do well in the Western culture, we don't do a good enough job of, hey, you met my mom and dad. Oh, well, hey, son, how you doing? So tell me what you do for a living. And it's like super stiff, right? In Brazil, you
Hmm.
meet somebody's family and it's like, hey, we about to go hang out. We about to kick it. Come on. And so you have so much fun inside this family unit, right? And like you'll go to birthday parties, you go to birthday parties for children in the family, and it's like I think it's a much better experience overall. You know, it's a much lighter experience of getting to know somebody's family. That's supposed to how
Yeah,
we do
I
it
know.
in the States, man. Like
I
one
literally
time,
know exactly what you're talking about. Like
yeah,
for me, I still love just seeing people our age just partying with like 10-year-old kids and like
Yeah,
everyone's on the dance floor together and
yeah.
all that type of stuff.
Hmm.
Still makes me laugh to this day.
I love it, man. I love it. Like, and then like it's crazy because you'll be like dancing with these 10-year-olds, and there'll be like a 7-year-old there too, and you'll be drinking with a
Yeah.
7-year-old at night, and it's like one of my first times that happened. Now this wasn't a girl I was dating. This was one of my homeboys. Well, he wasn't my homeboy. Then he was a guy I just met, Brazilian guy and his girlfriend. And this is back before I spoke Portuguese. And he was like, "Hey, you want to go to this bus stop?" That's what I thought he said. He actually said, "Hey, let's go to his birthday party." All right. And so we're walking. I'm like, "Yo, we can call an Uber, bro. We don't have to go to the bus." And he's like, "No, man, just keep walking." It's like almost nighttime. I'm in a favela for like one of the first times I'm in a favela. And like I get there, and it's like week 3 of being in Brazil, bro. And it's like this barbecue and birthday party going on. I walk in, I walk down the driveway. This guy takes his shirt off his back, puts it on me, hands me a beer, and we start drinking immediately, bro. And that was my
Wait,
introduction to his family.
why did you need a shirt?
So it was the shirt said, "I'm in love with a prostitute," right? And all the men had those shirts on, right? That was in the birthday party. And so they put one of
Okay.
those shirts on me. Crazy
Oh
night, bro.
yeah,
I remember I woke up. I mean, I was like wasted making out with this 45-year-old woman, bro. It was crazy, man.
yeah.
Crazy times, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I got a lot of them kind of stories. I'm trying to keep it PG for y'all, so I'm
Yeah,
trying to.
I feel you. I'll ask you a question. So, and I feel like I almost know the answer, but I really
All
want
right,
to hear your answer.
here
Do
we go,
people care about your internet personality? Do people know you even have Twitter? Have people seen
bro.
your YouTube videos? Do people care how
Nothing,
you make money at all?
bro. These my Brazilian friends don't give a damn, bro. Okay, they don't care about anything I do for a living. Like literally, like they know that I'm an insurance adjuster because I explained it. They watch all my videos. They like it. They'll say, "Hey, Steven, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand it," but they're really supportive. But like they don't. Brazilians aren't big on Twitter, and they're not taking the time to translate my tweet. So none of my Brazilian friends have seen my Twitter, bro. You know, they and they like on Instagram. I only speak in English on Instagram, and I rarely talk about Brazil on Instagram. So like they don't even interact with me, bro, on Instagram. It's crazy.
Do you use a personal Instagram as well, or just if when
Yeah,
you meet people on the street, you just give them the one with the
yeah,
14K followers?
yeah, bro. And I do it just like that. And they're like, "Wow, you got so many followers." I'm like, "Yeah, but don't worry, I'm never going to talk in Portuguese there, so you don't have to follow me if you don't want to." But yeah, man, like 14,000 followers and like bro, it's Instagram, man. Like people think that's cool. To me, that's a business metric for me. That's how I build out a base of people that want to purchase my stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think about it the same way.
Yeah,
But bro, they don't care about my job. They don't care about any of the things I do on social media at all. They care if
yeah.
I
Like
respond to
they
our
don't
WhatsApp
think of
messages.
you as an influencer. They don't think of you.
No,
They just think of you as like a normal American guy.
bro, like this shit is hilarious, man. Like this is how little money my friends think I make. They were like, "So Steven, like you're like Brazilian middle class." I was like, "What the fuck? Like you think I'm Brazilian middle class? Okay, cool, perfect. I'm doing this right, So like, I'm not flashy at all, bro. In Brazil, by the way, being flashy in Brazil is a great way to get robbed. It's a great way to put your life at risk. It's a great way to get hurt. A great way to get set up by men and women. I'm really low key down there. I make it a point that my friends dress better than me. Not that I'm dressed like a bum, but I really tone it down there. You know,
Hmm.
I go to nice places. I do nice things. I have a great apartment, but I really just keep it low key down there. I want to blend in the crowd.
Do you have like a ocean view apartment, views
I
of the
do.
sunset, like
Yeah,
dope
I
shit?
do. I do. Yeah, yeah, bro. My place is huge, bro. By the way, I can send it. I'll send it to you when we get off the call. But yeah, bro, my place is insane. Seriously, like
And people like hearing about prices. Like, how much do you pay per month for your ocean view apartment in Salvador?
so. My apartment is about 2,500 square feet, and it has 4
That's like a
bedrooms.
house.
Yeah, bro. It's 4 bedrooms. Every bedroom has an ocean view, and it's all marble throughout, marble and hardwood floors throughout. I got a huge balcony, a huge kitchen. My kitchen's the size of like a big bedroom. $1,600 US.
And do you feel like it's almost too nice? Like when you bring people over, it changes the
Bro,
dynamic?
I can't bring people over, bro. It's too nice. It's too nice, bro. My apartment that was $1,000 a month was too nice. You know.
What are you doing with 4 bedrooms, bro? Who's chilling?
Well, well, I got the 4 bedrooms because I wanted my family to start coming to see me,
Hmm.
and I wanted to have some of my American friends start to come and stay with me for like a month at a time. Also, I need an office. So one of the bedroom out of the 4 bedrooms, one of the bedrooms is an office, and then another one is a movie room. So it's essentially a 2 bedroom apartment as far as where people are going to be sleeping at, you know. But I needed space, bro. Like I've been working from home through the pandemic, and I was working in a 1 bedroom place, and it was just too small, bro. So I was like, I'm getting a shit ton of space, and I'm gonna start inviting people over here. But I found that before I had the apartment, I had apartments ago. I had a big apartment, and it changed the dynamic for some of my Brazilian friends. And I was like, okay, y'all can't come over no more. You know what I'm saying?
How did it
Because
change the dynamic?
well, like, bro, like, I've been to their home in the favela like 10 times, and then you come to my house
Yeah.
for the first time,
Sitting on a
and
plastic chair.
yeah, I'm sitting on a little yellow plastic chair, drinking a Javasa or whatever, and like listening to music out of the Bluetooth speaker, and you come to my house and it's like I've never even seen marble floors in a home before. Um, or you see a home that's like a home out of a movie or like a television show, and that's where your friend lives at, and you never knew this. You know what I'm saying? So like, I found that I had to be a lot more reserved in that regard. Like I can't just be like, "Yo, bro, come on, everybody come over." No, don't do that. Do not do that. You gotta, and it's something to keep in mind as being a nomad or being a traveler or whatever. Like you gotta keep in mind ways that you can keep the respect in a relationship and keep the friendship going because you don't know how hard they struggle just to have what they have. And then they see you kind of just hanging out all the time and you're making like you live in a place that's like their dream home. Or like it's like you live in an area that they won't even dream about because that's so far out of their reach, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it was always a weird experience where girls want to make an effort and maybe buy me some beers or whatever, and or buy the next round, and I make like 30 times the amount they make.
Yeah, yeah, bro. Like I'll be like, bro, um, what the fuck, man? Like, yeah, like and I was talking to my mom about that. Like you'll make, bro. There's been times I've been in a room with like 15 people, and I'm like, I make more than all y'all combined per month.
And that's not even hard because if everyone's making $300 and you're
Yeah,
making 10K a month, which is pretty normal, like 10K a month.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
uh I mean, if you had 10 people making $300, that's only 3K. You know what I'm saying? You had 30
yeah,
people
bro.
making you had 30 people making $300. That's that's still 9K. It's
Yeah, like
kind
we're
of
not
fucked up.
even. Yeah, and so like, but this is what I had to do, bro. I stopped offering to pay for things, and I just started splitting things with everybody. I'll pay my portion. You know what I'm saying? Like, if 5 guys go for beer, and we need to split the beer up, I might have a 50 on me, right? And I'll put a 50 down. All right, I put it. That might be an extra 12 hey ice on the beer. I'll do stuff like that. It just be a little bit more. I allow everybody to still be a man. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah,
These
I think
guys
that's a good
work
way to do
hard
it.
and they want to. You know what I'm saying? They want to pay their way too. And so like I found that no, don't pay for everybody. Don't be the guy who pays for everybody. Just yo, I'll get a pack of beer. Okay, I'll get some regular beef for the barbecue, whatever. You just keep it simple, man. And if you do that, you're usually gonna be fine. But when you start like being a big dog, No, man. Then heaven forbid they see your house, bro. Like, back to the women for 1 second. Like,
Do it.
I was at a point where I was seeing several women at a time, and like my place was pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? It had a loft apartment, and it was like totally remodeled and everything. It was really, really nice looking place. And bro, they will all take pictures in my house, bro. All of them.
I've had that happen. I've had girls say, "Can I bring a photographer tomorrow for a photo shoot?" And I was like, "All right, can I film it too?"
Right, bro. They'll come to your house and take pictures in your house and post it, and you have like several women with the same background on
Right, it's like I
Instagram.
know that spot.
Like, oh, come on, man! Like, stop. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's really crazy, you know. So it's yeah, man. I've had a yeah. You got to kind of you deal with some things that you wouldn't necessarily deal with in the States. I'll put it like that, or in Canada, or wherever you are in the West. You know,
hmm
but you
hmm
got to pay
And
attention. You got to
yeah,
pay attention. You said
and we're
what
not
now?
trying to say we're ballers. It's just kind of how it is. I don't know.
Yeah, that's how it is, bro. Like, you're not gonna stay in the hood, dog. Like, you're probably gonna stay somewhere nice. And I remember I was dating my I'm just talking about my ex because that's who I dated my first 2 years in Brazil. And bro, she was like, "Why are you staying in this place? It's so expensive. You don't have to stay here. You can stay somewhere cheaper." And so I was like, "Why in the hell would I stay somewhere cheaper?" Like, it doesn't give me the quality I want. But what I realized was about Brazilians is Brazilians like they like price. They buy based on price. So if it's cheaper in their mind, it's better. But in the Western world, we're like, no, if it's more expensive, it's better. You know, so it's just a mindset shift. You know,
hmm So
um,
so tell me this. I mean, have you ever had one of your boys like from like high school or like one of your true boys like join you for this adventure?
no, never, not one.
What's up with that?
I don't know, bro. I told him. I told him I was because I saw some of them recently, and I was like, bro, I'm not inviting you anymore, bro. Like, it's been 3.5 years. I asked you to come several times. You said you were coming. I prepared for you to come, and you didn't come. Like, so yeah, man, you come if you want to, but whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
you know, Stakes is high on Twitter, right?
yeah, that's my dog, man.
Have you guys met up?
I was supposed to meet up with him when he was in Brazil last year. If he's still down when I go back, I'll go see him. But
Yeah,
I was supposed to.
he gave me a message too. He said, "Bro, reach down to his part of the world."
Yeah, man, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of him. But what about him though?
Well, it's the same kind of thing that I think Stakes and I talked about. I actually had a podcast with him. It's not out yet, but we did one like
Yeah,
a week or two ago.
yeah,
Something that I go through as well, something that you go through as well,
hmm
where it's like we can only really lead by example, and we
right,
try to show people like what's to us seems like obviously a better life,
right.
or at least friggin' visit like for a minute.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? And it can be frustrating when people are kind of like stuck in their ways.
Yeah, man. Like, and they'll go to Mexico or something like that. That's cool, but I'm not in Mexico. They go to Colombia. I'm like, bro, you're right here. You're on the right continent. Just come down the street.
hmm
You know. And but what I found is that like language barriers, language barriers, flight prices determine a lot. You know, they'll spend $300 to go to Colombia from Miami, but they won't spend that $800 to go to Brazil. You know what I mean?
But
And
or even just kind of showing someone the digital nomad lifestyle and just be like,
oh
guys,
yeah,
like what are you doing in Alabama? Like you can travel the world, you know?
yeah, bro. Like that's man. I had a friend of mine, and I don't even talk to him that much anymore. And I was like, bro, like you got a lump sum of money saved. Come down here with me, man. Just spend 6 months here in Brazil with me, bro. You can stay at my house. You don't got to pay rent. Just hang out, bro. Just kind of get a reset on life, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm coming, Steve. I'm coming, man. Bro, I'm coming. I'm coming. They never came, man. And like one thing I would say to the guy, the digital nomad, bro, this is a lonely journey. You're gonna do this shit on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's coming with you, dog. Nobody. I don't care if they say they are coming or not. If they say, oh, bro, I promise you, man, we're gonna do this together. You're still on a journey solo, bro. Because at any given time, yeah, man, my girlfriend, man, she wants me to come back to the States, man. I'm coming back. Like, and and that's it. And you're alone. So it's like, you gotta keep that in mind. Oh, hey, check your DM, by the way. I just sent you my apartment.
All right. I already know it's gonna be insane.
Just check it out.
Oh my god. Oh, jeez. Man's not playing. This is not an Airbnb.
This is not an Airbnb, bro. I got it, and I had to go to the States the next day, so I still haven't decorated yet. I'll still get some more furniture. But yeah.
I don't know who else in Salvador could be living here except the governor.
Yeah, bro. So like, funny story. So this like rapper guy was living there before me. But he's like famous. You know what I'm saying? Like, like imagine like a 2 Chainz version, like a Brazilian 2 Chainz. Like it was like a famous guy,
like a funkero.
Yeah, like it was a big time rapper that was staying there, and he was like, I went there to look at the house, to look at the apartment while he was still living there, and he was looking at me like, who the fuck is this guy that can get this place? And he's just some regular dude, you know. But yeah, man, it's the mindset, man. The mindset of the digital nomad. I think that it's easy to say it's what you want to do until it's time to go do it, and that's when it gets hard, and that's when you got to really double down on your resolve and say like, yo, look. Even if it gets hard for a bit, I'm still gonna do this shit. Even if my business fucks up for a bit and I don't have so much money, I'm still gonna figure it out. I'm not going back home. You gotta put in your mind, I'm not going back until I get what I want out of this experience. What do you think about
that? Well, yeah, there's this concept called the hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that? There's like a diagram too. You could Google it right now, the hero's journey, and pull it up on Google Images. And it's sort of like, I haven't looked at it in a while, so I might not do it justice, but it's almost like you go into the Matrix, you have your hero's journey, and then you come back around. I'm not doing it justice. I gotta look it up.
Hold on, bro. I'm looking at it. I'm pulling it up.
Digital nomads go through what's kind of like they go through the hero's journey. I have it in front of me. So basically, you have a call to adventure, and you know that there's something out there. You have this purpose that's out there for you, and you're in this world of the known, and you know that you need to step into the unknown. And along the way into the path into the unknown, you're going to meet a couple archetypes along the way. There's the helper, there's the mentor, there's challenges and temptations. So now you're in the unknown and you're kind of getting helped. You're in the unknown. Then there's going to be the abyss where you reach a point of revelation. There's a moment of rebirth, and you've basically undergone a transformation. And then after that, at least according to this one, while still in the unknown, you've been transformed. There's a period of atonement. And atonement, freestyling here, but atonement would be sort of like coming to terms with the known and who you used to be, before you're allowed to leave the hero's journey and leave the unknown back into the known. And then the next step is the return. And it's the gift of your return back into the known. And that's one version of the hero's journey.
Bro, I experience all those. I experienced every single stage I've experienced on this journey. And I think I was going through atonement last year.
Maybe even this summer.
Yeah. I think this summer's, maybe I probably went and did it again. I know I had my temptations. I had my death and rebirth. And just like, yo, yeah, you're right. Kind of tie it back to the beginning of the conversation. Like, yo, when I got back to Alabama, I was like, yo, this is not me at all anymore. I am nothing like this at all anymore. I'm completely different. And I was kind of having some of those ideas, those thought processes like, yo, man, like
I don't have the same friends anymore. My new friends, they do these types of things. They're much more spontaneous than my old friend group, you know. And can you hear me, Vance?
I hear you. I hear you.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. I didn't know if my internet had messed up. But yeah, it's like you look back and it's like, yo, my whole life is completely different. I can't go back. I've dug too deep now. I can't go back to where I used to be at. You know, it's a special experience, and I encourage all of y'all to try it, man. Like if you can do it, if you got the courage to go through it, you're gonna become a much better person on the back end.
Mhm.
You know, you're gonna learn so much more, become so much more intelligent. You know, it's a worthwhile journey, the hero's journey. I never
Yeah,
heard it put like that.
and no one's gonna go on the hero's journey with you. You got to do it alone.
Nope, no, no. It's a one, you know. But it's like I feel like that's what life is about, man. Like life ain't just about like, you know, graduate, make X amount of dollars, get married, some girl, and then, you know, have some kids, and you do that till you die.
Yeah, where's the
Like,
hero's journey?
yeah, where is the hero's journey, man? Like, yo, like there's so much more we can do there. You know, there's so much more, man. And it's like, you know, I hope that I can illustrate to y'all, like, dog, I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm from a small town. I didn't leave. Now, granted, I did some travel, but I didn't leave my estate of Alabama until I was 26 years old. I didn't leave the United States until I was 30. I celebrated my 30th birthday in Canada, you know, as far as leaving to live outside the country. So I didn't start until 30. I didn't start picking up my second language until I was almost 31, you know. So don't think that you got to be 19 to do this. You know what I mean? Like you can start later. You know, you don't have to do this whole like, well, I'm in my 30s now, bro. I got to climb the corporate ladder. Like, no, you don't. You don't have to do it that way. There's another way to make money. There's another way to apply yourself. You can have success in a different way. Like, and you can still have some physical things in this world. Like, you know, you just saw my place. Y'all, I'm not going to put it online for y'all to see, anybody to see, because I don't want anybody to see it unless I send it to you or you come to my house. But Vance, what you think about the place? You think it's
Like I said, man, it was dope. So I have a question for you. You said
yo,
that you did resonate with the revelation and the rebirth, kind of
yeah,
like the depth, the abyss
mm-hmm,
before that led to the transformation. What was
yeah.
that rebirth moment for you?
Man, it was August 2019. Well, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't August 2019. It was when I came to when I met my real group of friends in Brazil, my real group of other digital nomads and expats. That would have been November 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and then just really getting tight with them and building that relationship up over the next almost 2 years now. Like there was probably like 6 months into that, I was like, yo, these people are so much better. And I clicked with them so much better than I did with other people in my life in the past. Like they just get it. They get my outlook on life. I'm not the weird guy anymore. You know, I'm not the guy that got his head in the cloud anymore. I'm just like a regular guy in this group of people now. And so that was kind of my rebirth. Like when I was like, I look up one day and I was like, yo, these are my friends. Like these people are crazy successful. You know, speak multiple languages. They've been all over the world. They lived all over the world, impacted a lot of people. And I'm just like, damn, these are my peers now. You know what I'm saying? Like that was my rebirth moment, man. Yeah, it just blew my mind away. So I was like, wow, is this what I've done to myself? You know, is this how, you know, are these the type of people I'm actually like the most? Because in my head, I'm a young guy from the country. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Tuscaloosa. That was my inner thoughts. I still am from there, but like that was my main perspective of myself, you know. And I hadn't really fully grasped the idea that I was bilingual and I was living in another country and I was, you know, doing things that I was doing.
Yeah, definitely. Did the girlfriend you had of 2 years or
Yeah.
any of the subsequent girls, have you brought them back to Alabama?
I have not brought a single Brazilian back to the States. Yeah.
What's your thought process on that?
That ain't my goal. I'm not trying to take them out of Brazil. I'm trying to stay in Brazil.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really, you know, to me, I don't see a reason to leave. I want to be in Brazil for a while. Like I want to live there for a while. I don't plan on coming back to the States. So I don't want to take somebody out of Brazil to the States.
Even just for like 2 weeks to see your mom
Even
and
for that. Even for that. Like, yeah, you can I can meet your mom and dad here. That's cool. But like, you know, I don't, nah, nah, nah. I don't see the point. Like, unless we were having children together, I don't see why you should come to the States.
so let me ask you about children. I'm just doing mental math. You're probably like 34ish now.
Yep. I'm 34, yeah.
How do you think about kids now?
I want kids. I want to be in a serious relationship. I want to get married and all that. If I had children in Brazil, I'll probably live in Brazil for a time, and then I would want them to come to the States so they can get their education in the United States, for sure. United States or Europe. Canada, even Canada has a great education system too. But I wouldn't want to have my children educated in Brazil unless they went straight private, Pan American schools, speaking only English, that type of deal.
Um, Let me push back on that. Like, why would that be? Because don't you feel like people in Brazil, they have much more street smarts and all that type of stuff? Obviously, there is an aspect of the American education system that's really, really good. Like,
Right,
obviously, most Brazilian people don't even know what a IPO is or
right, right,
the
right,
difference
right.
between a stock and a bond is. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
but at the same time, I'm fearful of raising kids in Canada or the United States because I just fear that they're gonna grow up too spoiled and with too many like fucked up new wave ideas.
now, and you got a point there. I agree because we're talking about our Canada from 20 years ago, or our United States from 25 years ago when I was growing up in the school system. Yeah, man. I think that one of the drawbacks, bro, for me in Brazil, especially living there for as long as I live there now, like really having to look at the education system, like y'all do not take education serious. Some do, most don't.
Hmm.
You know, and then on top of that, depending on where you are in Brazil, they teach you some real deal leftist shit too.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so is you really got to be vigilant about what it is you want your children to learn. That's just anywhere in the world, right? But I think that you really gotta. For me, it's like this, man. Like I have to give my children an advantage some kind of way, all right, other
hmm,
than just me being their dad. Like,
hmm,
all right, you're Brazilian because you're born here in Brazil, but your father's American. I gotta at least get you extremely fluent. Like, you gotta be very good at English. You know,
and math.
that's the minimum. And I think the best way to do that is either send them to school in Europe for a bit or send them to school in the States, one or the other, for a
Yeah,
period of time. You might do, till fifth grade in Brazil, and then you go to the States for the rest of the time, or Europe, for the rest of the time, or Canada, or whatever. But I got to have a strong, strong English background.
yeah, an
You know?
emphasis on education.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, man. Because Brazil's a place where you can kind of just like, oh, fuck it, we don't really need to do much. I just need to, you know, pay my rent and pay for my car note. I don't got to do anything else. It can be a very easy. It can be a place where you can kind of just be like, oh, I don't need that much, so you don't do so much. You know what I mean? So I still want to be able to push those values into my children of hard work, education, and looking for opportunity to build businesses or grow the family in the family's influence. You know.
Agreed, agreed, man. Dude, this has been one of the best podcasts I've done for real.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it, man. I enjoyed it, man. I'm glad I got to talk about Brazil. I like talking about it, bro. It's just that I think that sometimes when you start talking about it, it brings out the weirdos. You know, it'll bring out weirdos. So I stopped talking about it for a while. I'm like, all right, I ain't talking about Brazil no more because
Oh, you
y'all
mean
weird.
like on the internet?
Yeah, I mean on the internet. Yeah, I mean on the
Uh,
internet. Yeah, 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 man. But this is a good one, man. I'm glad we got to do this one, bro. Finally. And I've always been a fan of your account too, by the way.
Thank you, man. Yeah, this was a really, really good podcast. I haven't had anyone just like really break down such a good firsthand experience in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I used to document it more, but I'm just glad I can talk about it. And bro, I left a lot out. I left a lot out, y'all. Just so you know, it's a lot more to it than this. But you got to see it in person. You got to
Yeah,
meet me, and I can show you in person.
I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna have to put Salvador on the list, man, because I know you're posted up. I know you're there.
Oh, you got somewhere to stay. It's a lot of Canadians down in Salvador too, bro.
Yeah, man, this was a really, really good episode.
Uh,
I'm slightly upset that the audio was like less than perfect. I really hope people made it to the end because
oh
damn, the
man,
second half was so damn good.
yeah, my bad. I was driving, man. Like,
It is what it
yeah,
is.
bro.
Is what it is. I guess that means
Oh,
we'll do a round two and we'll chop it up some more.
perfect, man. Perfect, Vance. I appreciate you, man.
Dude, thank you so much for your time. This has been Steven Storey. His Twitter handle is, tell the people how to spell it.
STEPHEN STOREY. You can hit me up on there. You got any questions, man? Feel free to uh, to 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 start a conversation with me. I'm down to talk.
Excellent. And it's been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Steven, man, thank you so much.
You're welcome, bro.